Sutherland, and thanks for joining us for this, the third in this series of High Tune Into Tourism webinars. Last week we talked about using Facebook and Twitter, and this week we're talking about the increasing importance of getting a handle on video, and we're also going to be talking about Instagram, so we're getting really visual today. I've discovered that our brains process visual information 60,000 times faster than words, and in a disputed statistic that I keep churning out, apparently 1 minute video is as impactful as 1.8 million words. So there you go. So we've got two experts here this morning to talk about how you can use Instagram and how you can use video content across all the various different channels to best effect. First of all, we've got RENE Looper. RENE, you might recognise him from some of the Digital Tourism Scotland workshops or one-to-one sessions which run all over the country. RENE, Instagram video, how important is video for tourism businesses?
Oh, totally. It's expected that video content, 80% of the content in 2020 will be video content. So it's extremely important to get the camera and start recording.
Yeah. Well, actually, we spoke to somebody from Facebook, and they said on Facebook by 2019 it'll be 90%.
90%.
So, yeah, even higher every time we look. And do check out the Digital Tourism Scotland website for their current programme of events. You might see somebody like RENE. They've got lots of great resources on there as well to help your tourism business make the most of new digital opportunities. Also joining us, Neil Robertson, who is a digital marketing consultant and travel blogger. Instagram is something that you use a lot, isn't it, Neil?
Yes, very much so. By the way, I'm just heartbroken by some of these statistics as a writer. That is defeating my very reason for being. But Instagram, yeah, very much so. It's a platform on the rise with about 600 million monthly users now, we're saying. It's definitely gathering pace behind Facebook as the leader of the social media networks.
So important that we understand how we can use that properly to help sell our business. But most importantly, we want to hear your questions. We've got our experts here and they're here for you. So get those questions in, join in with the chat box. It's just to the right of the screen, and producer Richard is here to take your questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Julia. And we have got people getting involved in the chat box already. People all over the country. RENE, you seem like you're a bit of a celebrity. Barry Wenman is saying hello from the Isle of Mull. And Gary Ennis is like, it's RENE. Yes, so he's all there. And Joan Bishop says it's wet in Dornoch. So do let us know how the weather's doing. And any questions you've got, any comments that you've got, get them in. I'll get them over to the panel, or within yourselves like last week, which was fantastic. If you've got any chat best practices or anything that you've done that's gone wrong and not worked, then get that in the chat box and we'll share that information. Julia.
Thanks, Richard, and hello to Joan and Dornoch. Beautiful up there. They're doing brilliant stuff in community tourism. We actually did a whole webinar about that. You should check it out. It's on the High YouTube page. At a recent digital tourism event, I actually spoke to Rachel Glennie, who's the Tourism Communications and Digital Media Assistant for Murray Speyside. And here's what she had to say about how important getting a handle on video content will be for them.
Our response times are something like 0.13 milliseconds now to a video, and for us at Murray Speyside, I'm thinking that this is maybe a better direction for us to go in. We have such a beautiful scenery, a beautiful location that we're in, but are we really plugging it enough in all the channels that other DMOs and other locations are maybe doing better than us? We've got a lowering attention span. I think we were told yesterday we're now at 8 seconds, which is less than a goldfish, which is probably slightly embarrassing, but it proves the point that we need to be producing content that's available so quickly, so readily, and so easily understood that we don't need to make our potential visitors work too hard to get to know us.
We all have a statistic, our attention span's shorter than goldfish now, so important to grab that attention as quickly as we can. So we'll talk about Instagram first. Neil, what is the difference between Instagram and, say, the other channels that are out there? What's it mainly used for?
It's all about the visuals, and it's about being mobile. It's very user-friendly as a platform, and I think it kind of underlines your brand messages very, very well. The rise of Snapchat was something that was seen as a threat to Instagram, and they've completely countered that by basically stealing the Snapchat ideas and putting them into Instagram stories. So it's now not just a great visual gallery of things, it's also a video platform as well that has these short videos that disappear after 24 hours, but still give you a very brand reinforcing message that makes business really stand out. But it doesn't necessarily work the same way as the others, in that it doesn't lead into SEO, so it does need to be treated slightly differently as a platform. But generally speaking, it's something that people do on commutes, on the go, at the dentist or something. Instagram is super, super easy just to flick through. There's a pretty picture, I'll like that, or I'll comment on that. And its usability is why it's really taken off.
And it is a social media platform as well, isn't it? And it's so important to be social on there, isn't it?
Yep. As with the other platforms, you've got to engage with other accounts. It's not just about saying this is me and this is what I want out of it. It's about saying where can I make partnerships, where can I team up with others, and we can help each other. And through the use of hashtags, you can explore anything really. There's so much content out there, and it tends to be of the highest quality as well.
So Rene, talking about quality there, how important is it? Because Instagram, there seems to be a very high, the bar is set quite high on there.
Yeah, totally. Now, it really depends what you want to portray for what your business is. And we work with businesses that are very focused on high quality images because that's what their brand is. There's also businesses that use a little bit more, less sort of quality, as you would say, this is the branding, but more informal in a way. And it really depends on who you want to target, how you want your brand to be seen. I think that's very important. And yes, and I think it's a nice combination as well. Sometimes it can be a fantastic brand image that is a good quality, and sometimes it maybe not quite what you want to do with the brand, but it shows the behind the scenes in a way, and team pictures and all that sort of stuff. People want to be part of a business almost. They want to sort of feel engaged with it.
So that's what sort of I feel is the main difference is that I think on Facebook you're much more connected. It feels more like you're part of that family in a way. But on Instagram, sometimes to me it seems a little corporate. Is it changing? Is it becoming more personal?
Yeah, I think so. It's like I said, if I go through my Instagram feed, it's a combination of indeed the sort of the brand's promo images almost for the brands, and sometimes a picture of the kids on the beach, for example, and there is a combination of these things, which I think is good.
And so, but those pictures, so the tone of them perhaps is different, but the quality still has to be good.
Yes, for your board, your Instagram board, you want the best quality stuff there, because that's the stuff that's going to stay there. And when people come to your page, when they're thinking, do I follow this person or not, they want to see a good, consistent scroll of great quality images. But the stories are where you can kind of be a bit more creative, and it's a bit more on the go. They last for 24 hours and they disappear anyway. They don't need to be great. You don't need to worry too much about editing. And that's when you can get into, as Rene says, the personal side.
Okay.
I think there's coming back to that as well. It's sometimes you see pictures on Instagram that I think these are better for on Facebook than on Instagram.
So what example would you give of that then?
Well, it's people having the family around with the kids and everything. That's sometimes good on Instagram, but it really depends what the purpose of that is. If that is a purpose of to see where we're having family time, that's probably better on Facebook. But if that is a case of this is us, this is our business, and the kids are very much then that is the place for that as well. So you're absolutely right with that.
So Neil, what would you say for tourism businesses? Can you give an example of the kind of posts that work really well?
Well, you've got to take into account other things aside to just the quality, the frequency that you use, the timing of the post is very important. We've talked about that in the past in previous webinars about evening times generally being quite good, early morning on the way to work, that kind of thing.
Kind of the same as Facebook then.
It's quite similar.
8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, precisely. That's when people are around, so you can get them at that point. It wants to get an initial traction. If you can get that, then that's a sign to the platform this post might be worth keeping up there and keeping sharing it. If it dies straight away in minutes, the platform thinks there's not a lot of reaction to this, I'm going to just downscale this, and it works its way down the algorithm. So a good start is very important.
So how often do you need to be posting?
For your wall, well, it depends. If you're just starting out now, I think you want to get a really good bank of images up there. For the first 200, you should maybe be looking at saying a couple of times a day I could be posting to your wall and trying to get that first couple of hundred great quality images up there. After that, and you've got a good base, you can maybe trim it back to 2-3 times a week if you felt that you wanted to do that. But it depends on your audience, and if your engagement is really, really strong all the time, you might feel that you want to do it every day. As for the Instagram stories, the video side of things, you could be looking at doing that maybe twice a week and doing 3 or 4 videos together, back to back.
That does still sound like a lot of work.
Well, it is and it isn't. Certainly the stories, you're literally just picking up your phone and going, look at me, I'm in the park today, and just scrolling around the park, or turning the camera on yourself and saying, today I'm going for a walk in the park and I'm going to be doing this and this and this. And it's really just a few seconds. Post, off you go. And you can do that Instagram live, or you can do that as a story that you save and then post later.
Okay.
So that doesn't need to take a lot of time.
So talking about just the pictures, we'll talk about the Instagram stories a little bit more because that sounds like a bit of a different beast.
Yep.
For the pictures, what kind of pictures are really popular and how do they become popular and what is the purpose of them? A lot of questions in one question.
Okay. So
what's the purpose of them, first of all?
Do you want to go on first? Or?
Well, what we, especially for tourism business, is scenery photos. They go really well. Scenery photos very well. Food photos go really well. Fashion and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, scenery photos for tourism definitely is every time when I see pictures of the beautiful scenery, and especially when the first snow arrives and all this sort of stuff, you see Facebook full of your photos and Instagram as well. But yeah, scenery photos are extremely sort of popular.
So Scotland's perfect for that. We've got, it's
Plenty
a resource
of it.
there. Yeah.
So many photographers come to Scotland for that
Yes.
reason. It's the castles that we have, the landscapes, the Munros that we have, the lochs. There's no end of stuff.
So just look around you start taking some pictures. And the quality, I guess you maybe, if you've got a bit of an eye for it, then that's better. But you can be using your phone for these pictures, right?
Yeah, most smartphones have got the capability to do it, and it's very, very quick. It's built for mobile. It doesn't really want you to use desktop Instagram as a tool. No. So there are ways around that. You can try and cheat a little bit, but generally want you to be mobile. It's supposed to be instantaneous. And from that point of view, mobile is great. Phones are great.
So pictures, what about pictures of your business? Are they worth taking? And if they are, what kind of pictures?
Yeah, well, you've got to consider the ratio of that. If you're only ever promoting your own business, say you have a B&B or something, and here's a picture of breakfast today, and this is a picture of our rooms, this is our garden. If you're only ever doing your own stuff, it's not going to get the same traction. So you have to think ratio of my own business stuff compared to the wider area, other things to do around and about. And it does all tie together, because when people do come to stay with you, they're not just going to want to stay in the B&B, they're going to want to see the wider area as well. So it does make sense to spread it further afield, and that means following accounts like from bloggers or from Visit Scotland or something, and trying to get some inspiration from them as to what to do in the area that could also help boost your wall.
Mm-hmm. And events in your area as well, those are always a great way to...
Yeah, it's exactly, I would certainly say that's exactly right, what Neil just said. It's not just posting pictures of your own products and services, your own bedrooms and all that sort of stuff. Think about why do people come to the area, and every website in hospitality has links to attractions and things to do in the area. Why don't you go there yourself and take pictures, because that's what people are interested in as well.
Well, we talked last week when we talked about using Twitter, about using hashtags to try and bring in, and you can use that, and you can also be tagging in businesses, especially when you post a photograph on Twitter. That gives you an opportunity to get more information packed in and linking in. How important is it then to use hashtags to join communities and to be part of a conversation?
Very much so, and Instagram relies quite heavily on that. Since the algorithm changed last year, it's become much more difficult to get new followers and to get new interaction.
What happened?
Oh God, it was catastrophic. It was this thing that up until that point it was kind of open season. It was very easy to get new traction. And then they thought kind of more about their business head on. The Instagram masterminds decided to kind of pull things back, making it more difficult to get that traction organically and encouraging businesses to invest. It's all money.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was a bit of a tragedy for Instagrammers who were then cut off and had to revert to trying to think, how else can I do this? And one of the few ways remaining to do it are to keep going with the hashtags. And that's up to 20, 30 hashtags can be included for every post. And it's usually advisable to put them as a comment in addition to the post, so it doesn't clutter up the post itself, but you still want to be able to put that hashtag in there. And when people search for hashtags, whether that's Scott Spirit or Scotland or adventure or whatever, you'll start to come up on that feed. And over time, if they keep seeing your stuff, you'll become an authority on that hashtag, so they rely on it. So it's a great way to get interaction.
What are some of the good hashtags to be using then for tourism?
Tourism, well, the major one for Visit Scotland is Scott Spirit, for example. But hashtag Scotland, hashtag your area, basically, and where the photos are taken. And that's actually a good point, is looking at other pictures as well. If you do a search on the hashtag Scott Spirit, for example, what other hashtags have people used to create awareness about their photo? And so many times I see wonderful photos, but only 2 hashtags, for example, and it's
Nobody will ever find them.
Not making the best use, and I think that will probably come up with the question as well. Because every time we do the workshops for Digital Tourism Scotland, I emphasize if you do Twitter, 2 hashtags, 3 at the most if you must. On Instagram you can do 20, 30, and it's still okay. And that's the importance of the hashtags.
So if you post the hashtags in the comments, that's still going to
show up? It's still going to show up there. A few other ones that I could throw in. Hidden Scotland's a good one. Explore Scotland, Love Scotland. OMGB for Visit Britain, Love Great Britain's another one for them, and also, as Renee says, that if kind of regional stuff like I Love the Outer Hebrides, I think is one as well.
So have a look around and see what other people are using and see what is going to be appealing to.
The other thing that just came up, and I'm not sure if part of the questions, I'll just drop it in. I think the location setting on Instagram is great as well, where you not only can target people on hashtags, but you can target people who are at a nearby location, because people now tag their photo with the location. So
how do you do that?
If you open up the Instagram app, it will ask the hashtags and the description, but also ask, is this your location? It will come up with a sort of a list of locations. And if you say, I'm at this, so we're in Inverness, so the amount of people that take pictures of Inverness Castle, and for every restaurant or cafe, I say, do a daily search on people that check in at Inverness Castle. Those are your customers, like their photos, and you've got an instant connection. So
being social, so not just posting, liking other people's posts, making those connections.
Very much so.
Yeah. You know that do you know what the most popular hashtag is on Instagram? No. It's love.
Oh,
but do you know what the second most popular hashtag is?
Not hate, is it?
Holidays.
Holidays.
Oh,
I like that.
So there you go. So that's why Instagram really, really important for tourism. Richard, have we got any questions coming in?
We have got lots and lots of chat going on, so I'm just going to go through some of it because I know just as many people watch this afterwards when we repost this video onto YouTube. So it's just lots of people are talking about their Instagram experiences. People are saying that some people are using it a lot and having great success with it. Other people have just started. Gary is giving everybody some great advice. Keep going with that, Gary. And Linda says that she's on Instagram, but just sort of. And then they're all talking about exactly reiterating what you guys are saying about engaging with other people, like stuff, share photos, and all that kind of stuff. Kathy isn't sure about Instagram because she's got Facebook, Twitter and Google Plus and just feels that she's got enough going on. But people seem to be saying that Instagram is overtaking Twitter and is much better for getting your engagement through that. Murray Speyside are on Instagram and the Inverness Bid team are on Instagram as well. And there was a couple of actual questions here. A question for Renee, which is regarding video and saying doing video can be a lot more expensive than just posting photos. Is it worth it? And does it actually need to be expensive is actually the question that I would ask. So that's one question. And then I do have another question, which is, let me just try and find it. There's so much going on here. Is there an app that can help somebody manage 3 accounts at once? So there you go. Right, I'll hand it back over to you. So they said, that's it. So, but loads of chat going on. Keep it coming.
Well, is there an app? How do you manage your account? And I guess there's something we haven't mentioned yet is the importance of having a business Instagram account, right? Yep,
that's true. You'll get prompted to do that at some point if you've just got a personal account. And it's a fairly easy switch. It's completely free. And that just allows you basic analytical tools at your disposal. So the kind of demographics of who's coming on, the best time to post based on your audience, and your contact information as well.
And are you, and if managing several accounts, is that something you can get an app for?
I suspect will be a Hootsuite answer.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't realize that you can have on the Instagram app, you can have different accounts, but that's where Hootsuite comes in, my favorite platform as well, where you can integrate your Twitter, your Facebook, and your Instagram quite nicely to keep an eye and monitor all the conversations that are going on. And actually, and that's what you probably refer to as well, there are ways you can from the desktop then post pictures on Instagram through Hootsuite.
Yep.
And what about links? Is it worth putting links in your Instagram posts?
This is the big downfall in my position of Instagram and where it falls short of the others, in that it's not built with SEO in mind. Whereas Twitter and Facebook, you can drive a lot of traffic to your site. You are not going to get a lot of traffic from Instagram to your website. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, not at all. It just means that you have to see it almost separate to the rest of your activity that you do. At the moment, Instagram is really, really trendy. It's on the rise at a crazy rate, so it's worth investing in. But that SEO factor is something that's a bit of a downside to it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Pinterest, for example, another visual platform that's great for driving traffic to websites, because that links to websites. Instagram, indeed, you can't put links in photos, but there is a link on your profile picture, business profile picture. However, in Google Analytics, I've seen for some businesses where Instagram was not even a top 20 because of that reason that you can't have links, is now coming up slowly. And
people are learning how to find you through the Instagram by clicking on your...
Of the business page where that
I
link
think
is.
the business is part of it, and also the stories people are putting in emojis and stuff saying, look at this is my link, go to this link. So they're trying to promote people, or they'll say link in bio, and that will kind of direct you to the one link that you're allowed on Instagram. Okay,
so stories might be the place to be able to drive people through. Let's talk about Instagram stories then. Snapchat used to be the thing, and we were all a bit, Snapchat. It's very much the 30 and under, isn't it, demographic for Snapchat?
Yeah.
Why is Instagram stories taking over? Is it because you can get more analytics, or is it because it's easier to use? What's your opinion on that?
I would say the biggest thing is it is backed by Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram, so they've got big deep pockets. Snapchat, to an extent, could be seen as maybe a flash in the pan. It's still good, and it's still got a huge following, around 300 million, so around half of Instagrams per month. But on the whole, I think Instagram is probably the safer bet in terms of where you're going to invest your time. And I know a lot of small businesses are thinking, there's so many platforms, which one should I choose? I probably wouldn't recommend Snapchat unless you've got the time to spend time on 7 or 8.
Well, we were going to talk about Snapchat in the session, and everybody agreed that actually it wasn't necessarily the right thing. Instagram stories then, how do we start using them?
Well, they'll appear as videos at the top. You can do still photos as well, but generally I tend to find that as a travel blogger that the best use comes from doing videos. It's a chance to kind of turn the camera on yourself a little bit and show your personality and come across as an individual so that you're more approachable. And video has that capacity to be something that allows you to be much more personal. It allows emotions to be put across, and you feel a sense of trust and understanding of the person.
More of a connection.
More of a connection than you perhaps would with words, as painful as that is to say, for me.
The writer, yes.
Yeah, the stories are accessible along your top bar, and you can just get familiar with other people's stories that you follow, and then kind of think, what do I like? Where could I fit in with that, and see what you get on? But you don't need to spend a huge amount of time editing or thinking too much about it.
Is it easy to use? How long does it take you to create an Instagram story if it's a video?
Well, you're only allowed, I think it's 10 seconds or something of video time, then it cuts you off. So they have to be short and snappy. So I suppose you'd have to have a little think about it beforehand in terms of what am I going to say in this video and how best to put that across. But once it's done, you can kind of sit back and don't think about it too much.
And you can experiment, can't you? Because it's gone in 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to just try out things. And what kind of analytics can you get off the back of that to see what's working?
You'll see how many people viewed the video, and within your analytics section of the business page you can see a little bit more about them as well. But generally you're wanting to see how many people stay with the videos. If you're doing 3 or 4 back to back, you'll find that your first one got the most views, and then you'll lose some. And it's kind of saying, how many have I lost? If I lost more than 25%, that suggests that your video probably wasn't that well received. And you have to think, maybe, what do I need to do to keep them active longer?
And maybe doing that a couple of times a week.
Yeah, I would say so.
And what do you think the purpose of that is, Rene, for tourism businesses? What should a tourism business be using that to do? What's the goal?
Well, I was just going to say, while we're talking, actually, it's all about the engagement as well. The videos do get a lot more engagement, being it on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram. So definitely, if you want people to interact with your business, your brand and everything, then creating videos would be great, because that's what it all is. If you post something and nobody interacts with it, nobody likes it or comments on it, then you lose that content. It's not going to reach a lot of people. While if you do the videos, then that it's proven that it gets a lot more engagement. People do interact a lot more with videos. So
I think we've got a question. Richard's got something coming in on the chat box. Richard?
Yes, thank you. It's actually a question from Peter. He's quite keen for me to ask this question to Rene, because we're talking about video. I think you might have just slightly covered it here, but he's very keen for me to ask. He says that it's difficult for most people to be able to make good quality videos just on their phones. So this is the question for Rene. Video is potentially 20 times more expensive than photos to produce. How do you increase your return on investment proportionately when spending so much on video?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk about video in some detail just coming up right now. But before we do, just to finish off what we're talking about Instagram and Instagram videos, I spoke to Chris O'Brien, who's the destination manager for the outdoor capital of the UK, Fort William and Loch Aber, and he had this to say about how they might make better use of Instagram stories.
Well, the way we could use Instagram stories is actually just, we're already doing quite a lot of work like this with short, sharp videos from the outdoor capital. So this is just another way to do that, and we could perhaps have a bit more fun with it. So perhaps on one of those days where we're going out doing photography at Ben Nevis or something like that, we'll make an Instagram story of our trip that day and promote that out through various channels and to various different types of customer. And also that'll be a great way to engage our local community in what we're up to, and we'll probably push that heavily on our local community. They can follow us through Instagram stories and work out what we're actually doing for them.
So using Instagram stories when you're up taking pictures for Instagram is a great way to sort of double up there on your opportunities to connect with people. Wouldn't you agree, Neil?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully you've got some thoughts there and you can start experimenting. It's so easy, it really is. You can just do it on your phone and you can try it, and if it doesn't work, try again, keep going in that, and that's how we get good at anything, isn't it? By practice. So we're going to talk about video just now, and Peter, your question, I guess, is really key, because video sometimes puts people off. Number one, the expense, and number two, the sort of level of expertise required. Can we be producing video without having to spend an awful lot of money? Well, it seems 20 times as expensive as taking pictures.
Yeah. Well, certainly if you use your smartphone, that's the cheapest form of creating videos. However, there is a space for professional produced videos as well. That's what we always say. There's, yes, you can create videos quite easily from your smartphone, and they have a certain sort of quality. However, and we've invested in as a business as well in some quality images, because that's what you want to use to promote your brand in a way, and the other videos is more for the culture in a way. What is the culture in the business? So there's definitely, I would say, a place for paid for quality videos. However, make sure that you make the maximum benefit of these videos. Make sure, if it is a 5-minute video or a 10-minute video, make sure you have snippets of maybe 10 seconds or 20 or 30 seconds or 2 minutes. If you know there's going to be a camera shoot in your, or a film shoot in your business, make sure you take behind the scenes pictures and everything. So it's make sure that you make full use of indeed the money you invest, because it does cost some money, and drones and all that sort of stuff, but make sure it's not just that video. You reuse that content as well.
So to increase the value of what you're doing. So if you are going to invest, and that's a sort of slick, shiny, look at this as my business. That's if you really think you need to make the investment of proper filming there. What should you be filming? Is it something that's timeless? That
was just popping in my mind, because a video that you create now can still be seen 3 years later, for example. I've seen a lot of companies that are reusing the films, the videos that they have created a year ago, 2 years ago.
How are they reusing them? In a different way, or?
Well, it depends what businesses it is, but if say, for example, if it's a tourism business and it's now March, there's no snow, they might dig up a video of 2 years ago. Remember this? This was 2 years ago. So it's reusing the content that you have. So don't just shoot a video, pay for the video, and that's it. We show it once, and that's it. That's indeed an expensive way of doing it. Reuse the sort of the content, and make sure that before you have an agreement with the filmmaker, the video maker, that you say, well, I want other bits out of that video.
I want 5 minutes, and I want 10, 30-second clips, and I want. So you make the most of that.
Most good video businesses do that as well. It's not just the end product; it's the little bits, the outtakes sometimes.
And where are we posting these videos? I mean, we talked about Instagram there. That's one place where you've got video. But is it where are the most impactful places to be using this video? What channels? Is it YouTube? Is it embedded in your website? Where else? Is it Facebook? Where should you be putting these videos?
We always recommend YouTube because it's the biggest platform. However, it depends what you want to sell, and also filmmakers that use Vimeo, because it's very much about the quality of the video. So YouTube is compressing the video. So the quality video that you produce is not coming up so nicely on YouTube, but it comes up very good on Vimeo.
Can you do both?
We always say do both, if that's your thing. And but YouTube also has SEO. Neil already mentioned SEO, search engine optimization sort of tips, and having a video on YouTube with a link back to the website, that gives you bonus point for the search engines, and YouTube is owned by Google, so the more videos there are with links back to your website, and thanks for mentioning that, because that's one of the issues that I see a lot when we work with businesses. They might have about 50 or in some cases 200 videos on YouTube, but no clickable link in the description.
Back to their own business.
Yeah, so you're making not full use of the platform.
What about tagging
there as well?
Yes,
that's a big part of videos. Call to action, encouraging people. What do you want from the video? You're saying, come back to my website, or subscribe to my emails, or this is my blog, or follow me on Twitter. You want to
or book.
book. Yeah,
Yes.
You want to find a way of putting that across in a video, and that's essential to get additional use out of them, and therefore that ties into return on investment.
Yeah.
And so how do people find you? How do they find that content?
On YouTube, well, as we've been talking about, it has its own search engine optimization tool, so it's not as sophisticated as Google's algorithm by any means, but you can still find things quite easily, and it tends to be things like how to construct an IKEA bookcase or something like that, and you can find it quite easily. That'll be the first results that you get in Google, will often be YouTube videos, so you can do a raw search based on that. You can also embed YouTube videos very easily on your website, so people will find the video content from your site or from YouTube and be able to interact with one or the other, or post on Twitter or Tumblr or any other platform, Facebook, that takes links.
Okay.
And then just as an example of how popular some videos can be, I was in Shetland last week, and I did some research on YouTube on the most popular video in Shetland. There was a 23-second video of someone cutting the peat, 2.8 million views. 23 seconds, made on a smartphone. I mean, that's
well, it's history and culture, and those are things that people care about, isn't it?
Whiskey.
And whiskey.
And the other thing, and it might come back later on as well, don't forget to interact with people as well. People are not just responding on Facebook posts or on Twitter posts or Instagram, they also respond on YouTube videos. And I don't see a lot of businesses responding to those people.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I guess it's difficult, isn't it, when you're trying to do everything. You feel like you have to be on Facebook, you have to be on Instagram, and if you're also on there, then how do you manage that? I mean, how much time should you be spending? How important is this?
Video to you will depend very much on the content that you have available. If you're a great videographer naturally, or you've got great photos, or you've got the budget to invest in this kind of thing, then you can see that as central to your business, and a video could be the first thing people see on your website, and that can really send a really positive message about what you do. In a 2-minute video, you could sum up everything you wanted to know about your business, and there's some great examples of stuff out there. Wild About Argyll was a recent one that I saw, and it covered Argyll, and it was fantastic. It really covered the outdoors, the history, the scenery, food and drink, and in 2 minutes really you're seeing the best of this place.
3.6 million words equivalent.
Sorry.
One
point I forgot, and it came back with Instagram as well, is and don't just film your business. I did some research, and there was one B&B in the Pitlochry area as well. Yes, they have pictures of the garden and the bedrooms and everything, but the most popular video was them filming at the Highland Games. You got 11,000 views. Well, if that 11,000 views are linked to your business and your website,
people want to come to that event. They come stay with you, or they come see you.
Don't just film about yourself. See what's happening in the area. Events are a great way to film as well.
Well, I want to talk about filming that you can do yourself and you can do on your phone and what you should be using. But before we move on to that, talk about a budget, because that is something people are interested in. How much money are you going to have to invest in getting these professional videos? Or is it something that you can actually do yourself?
Yeah, Instagram, I've never spent a penny on Instagram, and I get good results, so I don't think you need to spend anything there yet. That will change as Facebook starts to get its hands on it. In terms of the higher quality stuff that we've been talking about at YouTube, it can run into thousands. It can be quite expensive. It depends on the agency you go with. If you're dealing with a smaller one-man band, perhaps it's much cheaper. But the top digital video agencies, it's thousands potentially for a really good video. But if you use it right, there's so much you can get from that, and you can use that again and again across all your platforms. And
so important to get the links in so that people are linking back to your website, and you make the most of those.
Totally.
Okay, so if you don't have thousands of pounds to spend on video, but you still realise the importance of it, and the fact that that's the content people are consuming online, how can you create video that's going to have an impact, that's going to be of value to your business? What kind of content should you be creating?
There's kind of basic editing tools like iMovie, Perfect Video. These are apps that you can just use, and you can put videos together and you can cut and paste, add a bit of text, add a bit of audio. Basic videos that you can actually kind of glam up a little bit. So that's a budget way to do it. If you're slightly higher end than that, Photoshop does video editing as well. All of this can be done for quite cheap, but you still have to have some spec knowledge, and you still also have to have the motivation and the time to do it.
Can you, how long does it take to learn to do that? Is that something that a complete,
The iMovie stuff is not really time consuming at all. It's very user friendly as an app, and you'll find that you can just cut videos very, very easily, add new videos, paste it all together. It might take a couple of hours to do a video and put maybe a dozen small clips together into a proper one single video.
You can put captions and
fades, you can add
and
text and all that kind of thing. So that's a good starting point. You will eventually find that you want to go further than that, and that's what I've done in the past as well. And you'll start to think, how could I bring in maybe drone photography or drone videography, or something from a digital camera that I could convert, and that's when you move to Photoshop. And then the stage after Photoshop is you're having to probably go out and get someone to do it for you.
But again, there are workshops, Digital Tourism Scotland, Highlands and Islands Enterprise as well, organised courses, how to shoot professional looking videos from a smartphone. And
smartphones, the quality is incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely,
I've got 4K coming out of my iPhone, it looks really good. It's just a case of knowing what you should be shooting. So that
it's think as with everything, think what your audience is looking for.
And what are they looking for?
Well, it's a combination. It could be educational. So for some businesses, if you need to explain a product or a service, that's an educational video. The how-to videos, which is, by the way, I did see a statistic, but I've forgotten it. But it was a huge amount. I know, I'm devastated.
I love a statistic.
Huge amount of people type in how to, and that reminds.
So how to climb a mineral, how to roll a kayak.
Yeah.
You
how
could
to
be
drink
tapping
whiskey,
how to drink whiskey.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
How to break open a crab shell. All these kind of things.
Yeah.
So you could be tapping into that potentially. And that's something you could do quite easily.
Absolutely, and don't be afraid. I mean, not every video is going to be a success or hit. Just shoot some video, play around with it, upload it to YouTube. Don't forget your link back to your website, and then create a sort of an album of different sort of videos.
You could be putting those on Facebook as well and using them across your different channels.
The other tip on YouTube is, by the way, it doesn't have to be your only video, your own produced videos. You can use videos from customers.
So user-generated content.
User-generated content in a different playlist. So you have a playlist on YouTube that are your own videos, but you could also have a playlist that's customer videos.
So you can curate stuff that people have filmed when they've been visiting you. Fantastic. Richard, I think we've got some more questions coming in from the chat box.
Yes, we do. Loads of chat still going on. Thanks very much. So 2 specific questions. First one is from Andrea Middleton. She wants to know what the panel's opinion is on branding the photo or video with your business name. Do you think it's important to stick your brand there so it's there all the time? Gary came back with a nice comment saying if you're getting interviewed or doing anything, you can have your company logo sussily behind you. So that's one question about branding. And then another question from Jane Slaughter, and it's a specific question. What is a geolocalization link, and should I have one? Back to you.
Okay, that's a specific question. Which one of you would like to answer that?
Renee, do you fancy that one?
Renee.
I love geolocation.
What is it?
I'm not quite sure what that question was asking for, but geolocation basically means you share your location in the photos. Every time you take a photo, the GPS knows where you are. So the geolocation.
Do you need to do something to?
Well, to switch it off, and that's what we say as well. If you want to keep your privacy settings quite right, switch it off. But you can with the different sort of apps like Instagram and Twitter, put your geolocation on, which allows people to see who is tweeting or Instagramming in a specific sort of area. And I'm not sure if that's what the caller was asking.
Well, if it's not, then go ahead and ask.
Geolocation marketing is actually very upcoming. There are different sort of when you go to a shopping center and you walk into the shopping center with your phone, it will be picked up, and people can send messages to your phone about the latest offers in the shoe shop or anywhere else.
So real time.
The whole geolocation is actually quite good, also quite scary for some privacy.
Yeah.
Well, we sort of spoke when we spoke about Instagram. We didn't mention using paid advertising or using influencers, which I think is worth touching on, because that sort of social aspect of both of these things that we're talking about, using other people's content, your own content. What about using influencers, and what about advertising? Is it worth doing?
Advertising, as I say, I've never spent a penny on Instagram yet, but I think it's going that way, so that's one to watch. I don't necessarily think you need to spend money on it yet. I certainly think that's the case in Facebook. You can't get anywhere without spending money on Facebook now. So that's one to watch. You may want to give it a short-term boost. If you've just started out and you're looking to get a bit of traction, you may think, I can just give this a boost. Perhaps going into the insights there and saying, what age do I want to target, what country do I want to target, timing, and go with that.
And you can do that with your video posts on Facebook.
For Facebook, yes, you can. Yes, yep, you can. Yep.
So that might be worth doing, and targeting, for example, tourism. People have gotten interested in tourism, or Scotland,
keywords,
keywords.
But that's where people like Neil come in, travel bloggers, indeed, sort of hoping that your photo on Instagram will be retweeted by a travel blogger, and you see this with a lot of destinations where they use travel bloggers, and not just destinations. We know of businesses as well that invite travel bloggers or food bloggers to their business, because they know they have a big reach. And I have to say, it's not always about the amount of people that are following a certain travel blogger. It's about the interaction they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do you
Two
figure
words
out?
never spoken by.
So how do you figure that out then? How do you find the right person who's going to influence the people that you want to...
if you look at if someone has 16,000 followers on Instagram and they post a picture and they get 5 likes, that
means nothing.
Because you can very easily buy followers.
Yes.
That suggests that that's not a real account. These are not real users. These are robots that they've got following them. And there was also, before the algorithm changed, it was much easier to get those followers. A lot of them have since drifted off. So yes, as Renee says, absolutely look at the engagement. How many people are liking, how many people are commenting, and most important, is it consistent? Are they consistently hitting the high numbers?
So it's about engagement. It seems to be that is the buzzword, isn't it? It's engagement for the influencers, it's engagement for your own posts. It's really seeing what you can make that is going to connect with people, and that's the point of video and pictures as well. I guess the other thing I wanted to ask was sort of drones. We've touched on drones. I actually think we might have some example of somebody who's maybe got a nice slick video, the sort of expensive kind that Renee had mentioned was good. Al, can we have a wee look at that just now? I think this is Craigmore, is it?
Glenmore.
Glenmore, sorry, Glenmore.
Yep.
Yes, there you look. That's a really slick, glossy looking film. Obviously that looks like it cost a bit of money to make. But it really sells the location, doesn't it? It's
but again, it can be reused. You know, it's yes, it is an investment, but
that's timeless content, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you spend it once, but then you can, use it for forevermore. Looks like there's a lot of drones going on in that film. And looks absolutely stunning. I mean, Scotland is so beautiful. Why would you go anywhere else? So that's a really great example of someone spending a bit of money. But drones, Neil, you're sort of getting into using drones more. That's something we've not quite touched on yet. It's not as easy as you might think.
No, certainly if you're using it from a commercial point of view, the rules are very different at the moment. The regulations for using it for private, independent use, just for yourself, you can go on a Mapline and buy one and start flying it, which is reckless if you ask me, but if you're going to use it for your business or stuff at all, and that includes posting in your social media channels, you have to get a commercial license or get someone who has one to do the filming for you. So I'm currently going through that process and I'm just about finished, but it takes about 4 months to get your pilot's license, so it's a lengthy process.
Okay, so that's maybe not something that
very expensive too, by the way.
So you can find someone who's got a license to come and do some shots. And do you think it's worth doing those drone shots, or are we becoming numb to... I mean, I know you're maybe I shouldn't ask this question, we're already writing. But I mean, are people, do they still have an impact, don't they?
We always advise it as well. It's the whole, the types of video you're getting are completely different, and they're timeless. You can use them over and over, and it's...
So when you're spending money, make it more timeless. Make it something that is going to have a longer life, that you can reuse again and again. and across the various different channels. And
Yeah.
we can upload videos to Facebook as well, can't we?
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be just Facebook Live. We've been trying out Facebook
Yes.
Live. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Richard and I did one yesterday just ahead of the session, and he did it in his shorts. It was quite racy. But you can do those live videos on Facebook. You can do Instagram as well. But you can also upload slightly higher quality stuff that you maybe filmed on your phone and edited in iMovie, or even just short films. They don't even need to be that fancy. It could be if you're B&B out the window. Oh, it's the chickens that lay the eggs for breakfast. They're having a.
I think the crucial thing with Facebook Live is to promote it beforehand. Don't just say, "Oh, I'm going to do it this afternoon," and then because you're not getting the amount of people. You need to sort of announce the fact in 2 weeks' time, in 3 weeks' time, on that day at that time. Just like this webinar, we announce it a couple of weeks before, and that's how you get the reach.
Good advice. We're going to take that on board. Right. Well, we're just about run out of time, but before we wrap things up, Richard, have we got anything else to add from the chat box?
Just thank you everybody for getting involved, and thank you for all your comments. Have been useful, good conversations going on between yourselves. Just like you were saying, people are pointing out about drones and just making sure that the person that you are using, if you are going to employ a drone flyer, that they are licensed and they've filled in all the correct health and safety bits and bobs. And Gary Ennis, thank you, Gary, for your contributions. And he was very impressed that you waited 45 minutes before dropping in that you were getting your pilot's license. I think that's it. Loads of chat. Thanks to everybody for getting involved. And I hope I got all the key questions to the panel, and a lot of the rest of them were answered between yourselves. So thanks very much.
Yes, and thank you for watching today and for taking part. I really appreciate that. And guys, final top tips. What would be one thing to take away from the session?
Well, tourism is an industry where you need to work together with other businesses, hotels, B&Bs, restaurants, attractions. So connect with other people. Don't just post pictures, share pictures from each other, engage with your customers. And I think that's a very important issue that most businesses think they have to post about themselves. No, retweet others, repost other posts. It's all about bringing people to the area, and then everybody will benefit. But it's definitely the interaction with other companies as well.
As well as the people who your potential customers. If they like
Very important,
you should like them back. Neil, what's your final top tip then for today?
I think it's focus on the quality of your content. Make sure that it sums up your brand and the messages that you want to put across, the personality that you want to put across. And on Instagram especially, it's being consistent and just making sure that the stuff that you say shows you in the best light possible. And that means the timing of the posts, the quality of the images, the stuff that you're actually taking the photos of, and that it all comes together and ultimately drives traffic to your website and makes your brand stronger.
And tells your story the way you want to tell it.
Of course.
Well, thank you so much to both of you. We had so much to get through today, and hopefully it was useful for you guys that were taking part as well. Thank you very much, Neil Robertson, to RENE Looper. You can watch out for RENE. He might be taking one of the workshops, DTS
Dornoch
workshops.
tomorrow.
Dornoch tomorrow.
Yeah.
Beautiful Dornoch. Joan, I hope you're still watching. We had a lovely time when we were up there. So you can have a look at digitaltourismscotland.com to see what one-to-one sessions or workshops are happening in your area. Sign up for those. And their website's actually got lots of great resources to really help you use digital technologies to sort of engage with your customers in new ways. As ever, the full webinar from today will be available on the High YouTube channel. So it's youtube.com/High Communications. And we've also got lots of other webinars that are on there. If you've missed any in the past, you can check those out, and some other films with lots of expert advice, practical tips. But we'll put the links in the emails to you if you didn't catch that. Next week, we're going to be giving your website its yearly MOT, so get your questions in for that. Maybe when Richard and I go Facebook Live on Tuesday, you could send us your questions there, have a wee chat. So anything from using analytics, search engine optimization, links, content, all that kind of stuff, we're going to be talking about that. We're here to help you make the most of that. And you can follow us on Facebook at Highlands and Islands Enterprise, or on Twitter at HIE Scotland. We're sharing lots of archive on there, as well as keeping you up to speed with what's happening in this series. But for now, I've been Julia Sutherland. Thank you so much for taking part. Hopefully I'll see you again next week.